Hi everybody. So over the next weekend, myself and Dan are going to be reading the Easter story for you. So I hope you enjoy and remember to tune in tomorrow for the second part of the story. Okay, here we go. The journey to Jerusalem. Jesus and his disciples were walking to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. When they were nearly there, Jesus sent two of his friends for a donkey. He told them to tell the owner that he needed it. The disciples did as they were asked and brought the donkey to Jesus. As he rode into Jerusalem, people saw Jesus come in and they covered the path with their garments and palm leaves. They shouted, "Hosanna!" and "Jesus is the King." Most people were very happy, but this did not include some of the priests who were jealous of Jesus. They did not like it that ordinary people liked him so much. They wanted an excuse to arrest Jesus and kill him. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' disciples, went to them in secret and told them he would betray them. The priests and elders gave Judas 30 pieces of silver. From then on, he waited for his chance to get Jesus into trouble. Jesus sat down to a meal with his 12 friends. He looked very sad. His friends asked him, "What is the matter?" He told them he would have to go away the next day to be with his Father in heaven. Jesus' friends were sad then too. The disciples said they would not let anything happen to him. Jesus told them that one of them had already taken money to betray him. They all looked at each other. Judas stood up and walked out. Jesus told his friends about the people in Jerusalem who did not like him. And that day, the very next day, he would be arrested and nailed to a cross. So that they would remember him, Jesus broke some bread and said, "This is my body. Take it and eat it and remember me." Then he took a cup of wine and told them that it was his blood. They should drink it and remember him.
Praying at Gethsemane. Jesus and his friends walked to the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus was very sad and asked Peter, James and John to watch over him while he prayed. As he prayed, his friends fell asleep as they were very tired. Just then Judas arrived with many men who carried swords. They had been sent by the priests to arrest Jesus. Betrayed with a kiss. Judas went to Jesus and kissed him on his cheek. This was Judas's way of picking out Jesus to the soldiers. Straight away, two of the guards seized Jesus. Peter drew his sword and cut off the ear of one of those men. Jesus told him that he should not have done that. He touched the man and his ear was healed. The disciples were afraid and ran for their lives. Peter's denial. Earlier, Jesus had predicted that his disciples would betray him. Peter said this was not possible. Jesus explained, "Before the cock crows at dawn, you will have disowned me 3 times. Peter replied, "Never." Jesus, now under arrest, was being questioned by the Jewish council. As Peter watched from a distance, people asked if he was a friend of Jesus. 3 times he denied knowing him. Suddenly the cock crowed, and he cried as he recalled Jesus' words. The trial of Jesus. The Jewish leaders wanted Jesus to be guilty. They found it difficult to find anything that he had done wrong. Even though they paid people to lie about him, eventually they asked him if he was the Son of God. Jesus replied, "I am." This was enough. They said this was an insult to God, and Jesus was taken before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor.
Pilate washes his hands. The chief priests who wanted Jesus to die persuaded the people to set free a murderer called Barabbas. Pilate asked what he should do with Jesus, known as the King of the Jews. "Crucify him," shouted the people. Pilate asked, "But why? What has he done?" The people continued to shout. Pilate called for a bowl of water and let everyone see him washing his hands of sending an innocent man to death. He ordered that Barabbas be freed instead. The soldiers took Jesus away, removed his clothes and dressed him in a purple robe. On his head they placed a crown of thorns. Mocking him, they knelt down before him and said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" As the blood ran down his forehead, they made fun of him. Jesus never said a word. Then they took him away and laid a heavy wooden cross on his back. Jesus was made to carry the cross out of the city gates and up a nearby hill. On the way, some of the crowd cheered and others wept. On top of the hill, Jesus was put on the cross and nails were put through his hands and feet. The cross was raised up. 2 robbers were also put on crosses, one either side of Jesus. One of the robbers was feeling very afraid. Jesus spoke to him and comforted him. Jesus' mother watched him on the cross. He called to one of his friends to look after her now. Many people in the crowd were cruel. They said, "You saved other people. Why don't you save yourself now?" At noon, darkness fell on the land. It lasted a few hours. Jesus cried out aloud, my God, why have you abandoned me?" In the sadness and the dark, Jesus died.
Taken off the cross. At the moment Jesus died, the earth shook. One of the soldiers who had been keeping guard said, "This man was the Son of God." Many people began to feel afraid. Some of Jesus' friends and his mother waited for permission from Pontius Pilate to take Jesus down from the cross. They laid the body in a tomb cut in the rock. The tomb was sealed with a large stone. Risen from the dead. 2 days later, a friend of Jesus, known as Mary Magdalene, went to the tomb. She